Welcome to the Beehive, the podcast where we explore the latest trends, challenges, and strategies in the world of finance and corporate governance. In today's episode, we explore the question: is your business leveraging accounting tech the right way? Joining us to answer that question is Yasmin Reyes, a seasoned veteran for retail and distribution at Scrub with a plethora of experience behind her. Yasmin, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, since this is the very first podcast we had for the year, I think it was right that we had to change our setup a little bit. So instead of the usual tables that we had during the last few episodes, now we're more in a more comfortable environment. With couches and all. So I'm hoping I'm hoping you're comfortable right now.
Kinda.
Yeah. All right, so I want to get into it because there's a lot of things to talk about, especially in regards to accounting tech. But before that, I want to clarify our definition of terms, right? Since there's probably going to be a lot of people here who's going to be confused. So let's clarify some terms. What is accounting tech? Like, how would you define it?
Basically accounting technology or tech is let's maybe separate it into two words. So accounting is defined as the language of business, while the technology involves more on the setup nowadays, where we have the computers, softwares, or cloud-based software to help us with the accounting that we do.
And has this technology been in the accounting world for a while, or is this new to this industry?
I guess it has been new. Somehow, accountants are now up to date with the technology that's being used with accounting, but it's just basically started maybe around 2015 or 2016, like that. So even way back when we were in college, we didn't have the opportunity to learn this different kind of software. So it's just really manual.
Also, it's a new learning experience, especially right out of university for you.
Yes, it is.
Do you remember the time where, accountants didn't really have the technology to use?
Yeah, I really didn't experience it work-wise, but in school, I did. So it was very tiring. It is.
And you would say there's a big difference between using technology and not.
Yeah, there is.
So, with this new year, we have some people watching a lot of the episodes of the podcast. We actually have some questions that have been brought to us, and I'll pull it right out, specifically related to accounting technology, and the role of technology specifically in accounting. So one of the questions here, there's a lot here, but I guess I'll just choose the most interesting ones. Here's one. How has technology specifically changed the landscape of accounting? Like, what are some of the most significant advancements you've seen so far?
As I mentioned a while ago, I haven't experienced it in work, but way back then in school, we had to have like a company. It's a whole year of transactions that we have to record it manually. So imagine recording transactions from one journal, transferring it to another ledger, then manually computing it to provide financial statements. Now it's easier. So the work is faster now. You just have to click one button and then everything is recorded already. And another thing is nowadays, due to the advancement in technology, errors are lessened. They're not totally eliminated, but they're lessened because of the manual computations as well. So way back then, when your balance sheet is missing like a $2, you have to go back to the whole process from recording it and then going back each process that you did it just to find that $1 or two. But nowadays, due to the advancement of technology, the balance sheet is already balanced because the software do it for you.
You mentioned before that cloud-based technology, right, is one of the most prominent technology right now that's being used in accounting. Would you say that this has been a game changer for the industry?
Yep, it is.
Maybe you could define like how does it actually work and how does it actually help for the industry?
Okay, so right now we have different softwares. One that we use is Xero. So it has different features. So you can just record like invoices, bills, and then it's right there. And then once you're done recording all your transactions, so you can just simply pull out or extract reports that can be used to maybe make a decision or send to different regulatories.
And would you say that Because I imagine this has definitely changed the landscape of accounting, right? But how did this change the nature of the job itself?
For me, it didn't really change the nature of our job. It just really made things easier. But of course, you still need the accountants, since we're better equipped with the knowledge on how transactions should be recorded, and we're also here to analyze the reports being provided by the softwares.
So it's there has been a shift of the role of accountants, you would say, from being uh the manual number crunchers to now you guys have been doing a lot more analyzing, strategizing a lot of the work. Has this affected the work process?
The work process, maybe, as you mentioned, instead of really focusing on the process itself, like recording, providing reports, we're now on the more on strategic partners with our clients. So I think that's one thing.
Oh, that's amazing. So I can imagine, because this is a little, especially looking at technology right now and how fast it's evolving, right? Especially with AI, everybody's so well equipped with AI now. I can imagine that this would also be transitioned into the accounting tech, and I imagine you guys are already using it, right? But I think one of the points that you're trying to make before is that that accountants are still needed, like the expertise of accountants are still needed. Why do you say so?
Yeah, if you really browse through the internet, AI or artificial intelligence is just pulling words from the internet as well. So it's just basically combining words that it see through the web, and you don't have any assurance that what's it's telling us is correct. So we're here to validate, to give you assurance that what we're analyzing and discussing with you are based on of years of experience, and also from the accordance or in accordance with the standards.
So essentially, it's still just a tool, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It still can't do the whole job for you.
Yes.
But do you imagine, like, maybe years into the future, is there a possibility that it would do the job for you? Or do you think that still accountants would still be crucial?
For me, accountants are still crucial. So we treat AI as our partners. It kind of help us, but it doesn't totally eliminate what we do, or it can replace us.
Amazing. So now I want to talk about, you've mentioned before Xero, right?
Yes.
Have you been using it for the longest time that you can imagine?
Yeah, since I entered Scrub, I had been using Xero, and up until now, I have clients that's using Xero.
So I could assume that large corporations of huge scales uses tools like Xero. But
Yes.
how about startups, like small businesses? Can they can they still utilize tools like Xero?
Yep. So we have startup clients, and we recommend them to use Xero as well. So Xero is very user friendly, and Scrub is in partnership in Xero, so it's also a cost saving on their end. Since we're partnered with Xero, they don't need to pay the Xero subscription as long as they are availing our services.
Yeah. So, all right, let's move on. Since we've opened up that topic, I want to open up this question as well. One of our questions is, tools like Xero are becoming increasingly popular. What's the advantage of using these cloud based solutions, and how can they specifically help businesses scale? Now we're talking about the scalability of business.
Yeah, so for Xero first, it's very accessible. So as long as you have your internet or computer, you can log in to Xero anywhere and anytime you want. And way back then, just because I really want to learn Xero a lot when I was an entry level staff, I even downloaded it in my phone. So
There's a mobile app for Xero.
yeah, so
That's
you can
amazing.
access it through your phone as well. And then another one is collaboration. So you can add multiple users in Xero. So if you're working in a team, you can give them access each as well as your clients. And you also have control on this. So you can provide them different levels of access. If you want to have them just view reports, so you can restrict some of their access. So that's one nice thing about Xero. And next one is in terms of scalability, I would say that Xero grows with you. So
Really?
yeah, so even if you from a startup company, even if you grow your transactions to numerous one, 100,000, your cost doesn't differ that much, and it can store in its cloud a lot of transactions.
Oh, nice. So what's the challenge now here with using Zero? I want to learn some of the problems that arises with using these types of technology. Since you've eliminated or you've streamlined the process, right, with using these tools, are there any other new challenges that arises with this?
Right now, since we have a Zero Learning Hub as well, so whenever we encounter issues or problems, we usually go back through the e-learning to learn how we can record transactions. We also contact Zero support just in
Hmm.
case we don't know anything. So I guess it's also a continuous learning process, but Zero has been a great tool
Yeah,
for storing or accounting for an accounting software.
that's amazing. I think we have another question here, right? It says, why do you think financial management is essential for growing businesses? And I've asked this because I think this does still connect with scaling your businesses with the right accounting tools.
Okay, so financial management is essential for growing businesses because um, sometimes there are a lot of transactions and you feel like as long as you track it, that's okay. But the financial reports are actually really needed. And that's what we always tell our staff, that you might think that your task is just trivial. Like just inputting an invoice or bill is just something that you do on a daily basis, and it's just recording.
Yeah.
But it's actually what makes up the financial management. And that's what the client use to make decisions and even to submit it to regulatories to raise funds. So that's where we come in as well. So in order for you to grow your business, we're here to help you as well on how to grow it by giving this financial management reports to you.
Could you tell me a story about, if you could, I mean, if you could share like a story of a client that you've helped tremendously?
Okay. So currently we have a client who's really tight in cash. So what we do for them is provide them a cash flow report every week, just to let them know how up until when their cash is gonna last. And then we also give them like summary of the report or the expenses that they pay on a weekly basis. So from there, they will see that sometimes they spend too much on things that are not really necessary. So through that conversation, they'll be able to lessen their expenses and then provide or keep the cash longer. And then another one is through this cash flow management as well. We help them seek for fundraising. So for one of my client, we also provide additional services like helping them gather documentations on what they need to get the funds. So we usually get like maybe 50 to 100 $1,000 fundraising.
That's nice. This creation of cash flows every week. Um, is this an easy task for you, or is this a hard part of the job?
I would say that right now it's somehow easy and hard. So it's just that there's really no tool yet that will help us, like the softwares that has budget and cash flow, actual cash flow. So it's more on the manual process that we're doing, but it's just an easy job since this is what we've signed up for, and we love helping our clients.
And what do you think would change if you started using tools like Zero for this client specifically?
Yeah, so if we start using Zero for this client, I think some of the manual job that we do will now be integrated to the system, so allowing us to have more time for analyzation and strategic planning.
And it's cheaper in the long run, you would say.
Yes.
So we have another question here. It's now more, I think we're still in the early stages of business because I think a lot of our audience is in that sector. But it's now more on the smart financial moves for these startup businesses. The question is, how can a professional accountant help a startup navigate these challenges and ensure they're on the right track financially? Not sure what challenges they're talking about, but but I assume they're talking about the challenges that come with being a startup, you know.
Okay. So I think for me, actually the first or early ages of the business is very crucial. Um and I'd love to say, as they say in medical field as well, prevention is better than cure. So I think one of the mistake that startup company does is they don't hire accountants when they start up their business, thinking that they just have few transactions.
They don't think it's important.
Yeah, they don't think it's important, but it is. So even if your transactions are just minimal, you still need accountants because that's the time where you need to see your financial statements. If you're really earning or your cash is still there or will be able to support you in the long run. And yeah, just I think that's basically it. Really knowing where you're at your business on the early stage is very important.
So you would say a lot of these startup businesses really don't or ignore the hiring accountants because they
Yeah.
think it's not important.
Yep.
But is there any is there any tips that you could give, you know, on avoiding a lot of the issues that these startup companies face?
Yeah. So first, of course, hire your accountants. I've been doing a lot of cleanup projects, so ranging from 2 to 3 years. So imagine we'll be asked to do a cleanup in just a month for over a 2 to 3 years transaction. So that's really hard. And it's also hard for the client, to backtrack and really think what happened during those years or on that specific transactions. So first is hire your accountants immediately so we can help you grow your business. And then second, if you also can get softwares, if you don't have really the budget yet for the accountant, maybe just inputting your transactions or having it in a one software like Xero will be better.
It helps that much, huh?
It helps that much. But again, it's one thing to record transaction. It's another thing to record it correctly and in accordance with the standards. So again, number one, hire your
Hire your
accountants.
accountants. All
Yes.
right. Um, I would say though that especially jumping off of your comment there is in the early stages of business, it's very important to get your financial foundation in a solid structure, right?
Yes.
So now my question would be is what are the key steps in establishing a solid financial structure?
Okay, so for me, financial foundation is having the stability in your business. So first is really get things organized. So have your accountants create the reports that you need on a monthly basis for your decision making. And then second is track your expenses or your spending habits. This way you'll be able to assess if you need to lessen some of it or maybe some of it need to increase so you can boost your sales. And then third, make sure you're up to date with everything, even the rules and regulations in your state or in your country, just to make sure you're in compliance with this everything.
And what would you say are the next steps after this? Right. So what if they have established their financial foundation right off the bat? What are the key steps in scaling this towards the next level of their business?
I think it's somehow basically the same. Maybe just checking into your goals if there are things that you need to redefine, and then still track your reports like your balance sheet, your profit and loss to see where you're at, and you compare it with your goal so you can achieve it.
Amazing. All right, I think we have time for one more question here. I think this will be the last question that we have, right? So the question is, how do accountants or how can accountants guide businesses in maintaining their financial health?
Okay, so as I mentioned, accountants are still needed, and the financial aspects um, nowadays, and maybe in the long run as well, because I don't see us being replaced by AIs. So we're always here to help the business owner grow their business. We want to grow with them, and through that, we can provide reports, analyze them, and be your strategic partner on how you can grow your business.
Amazing, Yasmin. Yasmin, again, I want to say thank you for being here in the podcast. Before we end, I want to hear a couple of advice for you. You know, as a seasoned veteran, being in retail and distribution and being in this industry, what can you say, or what tips can you give to our viewers out there, in especially in regards to accounting technology?
Okay, so to all our viewers, so first, of course, as I mentioned a lot in this podcast, so it's always better to have your accountants help you with your businesses. So if you don't have any, you can feel free to ping or visit our web page, which is Scrub. And then second, make sure that you have an accounting software where you can always store your transactions and your documents as well. And one of the softwares that we have is Xero. And of course, lastly is make sure that you're up to date with everything and especially with the rules and regulations.
Amazing. Again, Yasmin, thank you for being our very first guest for this year in the Beehive. And that's a wrap for today's episode. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who'd love it too. Again, this is William, and thanks for tuning in to the Beehive.